Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to the Mainstream Indie Music channel. We talk about everything indie music, and this song is one of the originals of the post-punk period of the early 2000s when alternative and indie music really started to gain traction heading into a new era. This song is one of them. I've done a lot of research into this song. I remember this song coming out for one. But also, just it's funny doing a lot of research into it. The amount of people that said that this is a huge nostalgia hit song where it literally brings them back to that time period. Of course, we have to bring up the involvement with the Killers because I saw that online as well, all over the place. But so let's kind of backtrack before we get into all that. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. And without further ado, this is going to be an in-depth look into the song An Honest Mistake by the Bravery. So, rewind back to about 2002, 2003. The Bravery was a New York City band. And Sam Endicott, who is, you'll hear his name a lot in this video, he is the lead singer and songwriter for the Bravery, probably their band leader. It's funny because in an interview, he said at the time he hated mainstream music. So again, we have to rewind back. What did he mean by that? What was going on in mainstream music? Well, that's when a lot of the party hits, a lot of the boy bands were a thing back then. You know, think NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears. In the pop world, he hated it. And he kind of longed for that punk rock period. Which ironically, grunge, again, that classic rock was starting to fade, into history nowadays. And so wanting to do something different, him and his band, the Bravery, kind of spun two genres together. Because the Bravery consists of 5 people. You got your normal 4-piece band, but also you have a keyboardist and tech player. Sound effect kind of person in the background as well, who is probably, I would say, other than Sam, the most important piece to that band, because that's exactly what they did. They fused that keyboard kind of sounding tech beats and sound effects into that 4-piece rock band and merged them together. So before we kind of continue with the story, you might immediately start thinking to yourself, well, that sounds a lot like the Killers. That's exactly what the Killers did. And you would be absolutely correct. That is exactly what the Killers did. And the Bravery noticed that as well. And the Killers also, vice versa, noticed that about the Bravery. And a competition ensued between the two bands. They have a long-running history. If you want to know more about that history specifically, our original video on the Bravery that we did, it's one of our first videos on this channel. Go check that out because we go much more in-depth. But just for the sake of this video, no, absolutely yes, that was a thing. Both bands got compared to each other quite a lot during that early years, because it sounds ridiculous to hear that now because of how huge the Killers eventually became. The Bravery, unfortunately, did not enjoy that level of success, and so they were envious of it. I mean, I know they deny it, but I mean, come on, of course, they had to be envious of it. But anyway, that was the musical style that they decided to go with. And what's interesting is they signed with 2 different labels. They signed with one in America, in the United States, but they also signed with a label out in the UK, and it paid off. Because what's kind of interesting about this song, An Honest Mistake, is it is huge, and I would say a bigger success of a song over in the UK, because it charted under top 10 at the time in the United Kingdom, versus in the United States. It got on a few of the alternative hits, but that was pretty much it. However, I would say the majority of their success with this song came in the style of video games. I can't tell you on how many internet message boards that I see under video games or under this song itself where people would say, this is bringing me back to, fill in the blank. Whether, I think I saw like MVP Baseball. I remember for myself, it was Burnout. It was one of the Burnouts, was when I first heard this song. There was another sports game. I think it was like a hockey game And then I think another one was maybe a Tony Hawk or just a skateboard video game. But that, to me, is what their bread and butter was over here in America. That is what got the song much more popular. They also were successful in not only touring by themselves, but they also opened up for the Smashing Pumpkins. So they were kind of going off the success of bands previous to them, which really helped them out a lot. I'm not saying that in a negative way. It was a very good thing that they did that. So what is the song An Honest Mistake about? I mean, it's kind of straightforward. During the formation of the Bravery, Sam had written this song, and it had just happened after a breakup. And he was even writing about how difficult it was for their band to kind of achieve mainstream success. So he wasn't in the best mental place when he wrote this song. And I mean, you can tell it is kind of like a heartbreaking song. It's not like a happy one, despite kind of the fast pitch and pace of the song. And you could just hear it in the lyrics, you know. It's kind of hard to tell, too. It's kind of funny because it sounds like the whoever the narrator of this song is, you know, whether it was spoken from his firsthand experience or if he's just kind of relating a story, it sounds like the main character is the one that makes a lot of mistakes. And so, I mean, the chorus of the song goes, "Don't look at me that way, it was an honest mistake." You know, and then later on he goes on the song, "Sometimes I forget I'm still awake." And there's many other lyrics in that song as well that kind of highlight that point. Unlike a lot of the songs on their first album, and especially in comparison to the second album, this song is very heavily influenced by electric beats. You know, definitely a very heavy tech background in this song. But to wrap up this video, I want to see what y'all think. I put them, as you can see in the video here, a little bit halfway down the charts about indie and mainstream. Definitely achieved some mainstream success, like I mentioned, but I don't think every person walking on the street knows who they are. What do you guys think? And I will see y'all next week. Peace.